Another component that we see as a kind of enhancement to the work that's already happening is to be able to sustain and expand access. So one of the things I wanted to do on this slide was respond to a question that we got from someone in the audience about something we mentioned this morning about kind of the group therapy codes or group therapy funding, and asked us to kind of comment on that. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of explain a little bit about where our kind of funding sources are sort of coming from now and how we're seeing making those a little bit more sustainable for the future or more consistent. So Our program has been community-based, and it's something that we're very proud as something that we're able to implement in the community. However, in the United States, kind of the funding structures that drive a lot of the services that psychologists and other clinicians provide are based on kind of an insurance reimbursement model. And as part of that model of being able to bill insurance for a service, it needs to be provided in settings much more structured than a community-based setting. So we say that because we have explored the idea of trying to be able to work with insurance companies and build insurance companies to help make this program more accessible to people who may not be able to pay a fee for service. And so that's a avenue where we're kind of embarking on right now, is looking at some new coding systems that are sort of driven by this understanding that there are people with a variety of kind of developmental needs and supports, and that the best place to deliver those supports isn't always in a clinic setting and can be more in a community-based setting. So one of the things we're looking at now is how to set up kind of a billable structure where for people who wanted to pursue that, we could perhaps bill their insurance and help make some of those services more accessible and not be a kind of a private pay fee for service model. We also think that in doing that and being able to have this model where it can generate some funds through a kind of existing funding stream and source, then that might also make it easier for people in other communities and other programs to replicate and be able to do, because it has another source of funding, if that makes sense. That's all very confusing to me, and I'm not sure that I did the best job explaining it to you all.
I think the question too was, why did you say you didn't want to bill or make it group therapy?
Right.
And it was just about like, we just can't, we couldn't bill those codes out in the community. That's why.
Right.
And then we weren't willing to give it up and say, let's do it at KU Med Center.
Right. Kind of our belief was we'd rather do it in the community and find other ways to make it happen than to sort of say what the insurance company tells us to do. I don't know if that's the best advice for you all to follow, but that's kind of was our approach. We also think that as we build that structure and have that kind of consistent kind of stream of support, then we have an ongoing kind of program cycle. So I think I talked with a couple of you about kind of time frame when we do the program. And for us and the participants that we've had in the program, it's worked to sort of be on an academic year schedule. So we do a group in the fall and a group in the spring. That's also worked well for our trainees who've been a part of that. But we're also actively looking at ways to get some more ongoing support to be able to do this on a kind of a year-round basis and year-round cycle. And so I think that's an important consideration for you all too, as you're considering ways you might want to implement this kind of programming. We also wanted to share with you a model that we think is just incredible. It's something called Felicity House. I don't know, raise your hand if any of you have heard of them. Yes, great, awesome. So wonderful, really cool program out of New York. Do you want to speak a little bit to you?
Sure, yeah. Felicity House is a gathering space for women with autism. It's not, no one lives there, but it's just a space then where people can belong, almost like a membership, and they offer social activities, clubs, speakers, and they are part of what drives the program, not programming, but part of drives what is going to happen at Felicity House. And so the members are actively involved. It's privately funded. We really hope to replicate that model in Kansas. And Beth, is it Finkelstein?
Beth Finkelstein.
Finkelstein is the director of the Felicity House. And then Kathy Koenig is at Yale, at the Yale Child Study Center, and she has an initiative that focuses on girls and young women with autism. And then, so that's been collaborators that we've spoke with at other conferences, and then, done some kind of like shared resources or shared visions. And we really see this as a model for our larger next steps in our own community, where we can have this available for, for the work that we want to do and as a resource.
So kind of a physical space that's not within a clinic or a hospital setting that feels friendly and welcoming, and is also a venue for a lot of resources to the community is really a part of that vision as well.
And I get you can go online and look up Felicity House, and I get their newsletter. You probably sign up to get it, or I don't know if I get it just because I'm on Best List, but I just love looking at all the activities and events and, things that they have going on. And they started with, okay, we're gonna have these social activities, and then I've noticed now they have social circles. So what they've done is that I think their membership has gotten large, and then they've helped people to connect with people who they feel like they have something in common with, or get stronger bonds there. And so then they meet with those kind of mini circles within that. Or sometimes they offer art classes, or just, it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Get on the mailing list.
Mm-hmm. I was going to tell them about the kind of calendar too that one of our former participants who's working on her Gold Award for Girl Scouts, right, sure, is working on too, is this idea of, and I think maybe Iris's group has a calendar of events that's online that people are accessible. Is that, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but yes. So we want to do something similar to that as well. And we have one of our former participants who's working on that project, is to develop a calendar of events that are happening, not just that sort of GNO promotes, but that are activities that could be of interest to the variety of participants that we've had come through our program or accessing our listserv and our website. And so just providing, again, that information and resource at a central hub, something that we're also helping to kind of vet sort of along the lines of what Deborah was talking about with the ACT website, but kind of targeted specifically to kind of the girls that are our constituents. So.
And her project is called GNO Connection, so she's done that work, okay, what's going on in our community, but she did the work to find out what was happening and to ultimately create this calendar. It's a work in progress by surveying people, creating a survey so we could find out what are our girls interested in, and so that we could look up those types of events. And then the second phase is this connections to say, okay, well, let's get people together based on interest, or to facilitate these, getting involved in these activities a little bit in the beginning, and then shift that over so that the girls and young women could take that on and coordinating. Because that's one thing we found too, is even our girls that really enjoy connecting with one another and talk about, how much that's helped them feel, helped improve what they see as, relationships or leisure activities. They're not doing that on their own as much as I would like to see. They're not going and coordinating those things. And so setting up a model that's kind of like has some support and then slowly backs that away. Or, like Jessica said, putting it all in one place. I know for me that would be easier, is here's a lot of the stuff I like to do. I'm just going to look here instead of, figuring out, Googling, finding out everything that's going on, or looking on the citywide calendar.